Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's webinar, the Yale Angels Inaugural Pitchoff 2021, featuring historically underrepresented founders from the Yale community. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Wendy Maldonado D'Amico. I'm Yale College Class of 1993. I am a director of Accelerate Yale and Yale Angels. Our event this evening is co-sponsored by many wonderful organizations, including the Yale Office of Development, DLA Piper, the Yale Black Alumni Association, the Yale Latino Alumni Network, the Association of Asian American Alumni at Yale, Yale Gala, Yale Women, and First Gen Yale. I'd like to thank all of our co-sponsors this evening. Accelerate Yale and Yale Angels is a global community of alumni and friends of Yale who are engaged in innovation, tech, and entrepreneurship. Please note that we are being recorded this evening with all participants muted. Tonight's session will last approximately an hour. We will not be taking questions from the audience this evening. You will hear from our competitors shortly, but first, I'd like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies this evening, my teammate on Accelerate Yale and Yale Angels, Gary Stewart. Gary Stewart is Yale Class of 1996 and Yale Law School Class of 1999. He is the CEO and founder of Founder Tribes, an innovative app and learning platform that empowers you to raise capital and upskill your business. Gary.
Thanks, Wendy. It's great to be here as a part of the Yale Angels inaugural pitch-off, focusing on historically underrepresented founders in the Yale community. It's even more special that we're doing this during Black History Month, given all of the terrible stats that are out there about funding rates for underrepresented and overlooked founders. While it's always a bit of a hard knock life as a founder trying to get funding and just survive, Black, Latino, and women-led companies combined get something like 5% of all VC funding, which is frankly outrageous. So it's an honor to be a part of this event highlighting some truly great founders who disprove the myth that there's a lack of a pipeline for diverse talent. But before we get to the pitches, I have the honor of introducing our 4 superstar judges for this evening. Jen Wong, friend of mine, also a classmate of mine, Yale Class of 1996, is the COO of Reddit. And she's also just recently done a session with Accelerate Yale, so go check her out. Jacob Mullins, Yale Class of 2005, is managing partner of Shasta Ventures and a co-founding board member of LatinxVC. Aike Ho, is Yale Class of 2012, is a principal at ACME Capital. Hi. And Kathryn Finney, also who recently did a really amazing chat with us for Accelerate Yale, so go check her out as well, is the Class of 2000 from the Yale School of Public Health, and she is the CEO of Genius Guild and a general partner in the Greenhouse Fund. Jen, Jacob, Aike, and Kathryn, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now it's almost time to get to the star attractions, which are of course the entrepreneurs. But before we do, I'd like to explain our format for this evening. As Wendy mentioned, there are 5 finalist teams selected from a pool of over 90 applications. So it's really a bit hard to kind of get here today. All of them have some affiliation to Yale, so this is kind of a real celebration of Yale talent. Each team will have 5 minutes to pitch and 4 minutes for a Q&A with the judges. After all 5 teams have pitched, the judges will depart to a separate Zoom room and take 10 minutes to choose the big winner. During these 10 minutes, members of the leadership team of Accelerate Yale and Yale Angels will join us to share information on upcoming events, as well as to highlight the semifinalist teams. Finally, while you are welcome to use the chat, as Wendy noted, please note that we will not be accepting any questions from the audience for our 5 finalist teams. And now it's time for the main show. We will proceed in the following order with our 5 finalists: Creci, Kova Dx, RxAll, Thermaband, and Drip. First up to the stage, I'd like to bring Creci. Let's welcome Andres Idarraga. I hope I'm saying it right. Of Creci the Pitch. Welcome, Andres, and good luck. Please remember that Wendy and Ellen will let you know when your time is up. We will be strict, so don't go over. You have 5 minutes to pitch and then 4 minutes for Q&A. Welcome, Andres.
Thank you very much. I'm going to proceed to share my screen and begin. So thank you, Accelerate Yale. Thank you, the Yale community, for having me here. My name is Idarraga. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Creci. So as Larry Fink said a couple of weeks ago, there is a fundamental disconnect between financial products and how those financial products support sustainability initiatives. He believes marrying the two will fundamentally reshape finance, and this is what we're working on at Creci. We want to offer financial products and services that reward and incentivize sustainable development goals. We're beginning with an initial product where we lend to small businesses, 80% of which are found to further at least one of the SDGs, which are a benchmark for impact. However, these small businesses face a credit gap of over 600 billion across the Americas. All the while, retail investors, that's you out there, and institutions have a high interest in impact investing. 85% of retail investors want to, and between retail investors and institutions, they've earmarked 500 billion for sustainable and impact investing. So we're bridging this gap by proceeding in three ways. First, we're filtering, underwriting, and lending to impact small businesses. We then proceed to provide these small businesses with a tool that allows them to report their impact statistics to us. And we provide interest rate rebates between 1% and 6% on an annual basis for the provision of those statistics. We want to incentivize small businesses providing that statistics. And then we're building out an investor side platform where retail investors and institutions could come, set up an account, fund that account, earn a fixed return. And with that, those funds, they'll be able to see the impact statistics across our portfolio, and we'll be able to continue expanding and lending to our portfolio companies. Our impact tool has been developed with industry standard in mind, including those promulgated by the Global Impact Investing Network, the Global Reporting Initiative, and the World Bank. We have several hundred companies using it in Colombia, and here's an example of three. Between Aike, and Markea, they're helping over 30 farmers become more efficient, employing over 100 people in vulnerable areas, and treating 36,000 liters of water each and every single day. We were founded in 2019, and to the present, we've been able to lend $300,000, a little bit over $300,000 across 60 companies, and we have total interest income of close to $50,000. However, with more funding during that time, we could have loaned over $1 million to our companies. We have over 6,000 qualified leads, over 2,500 registered users on our platform, and over 1,300 loan applications. Our current approval rate is less than 5%. We're also working very hard to establish customer acquisition channels, including through high-value partnership, to meet our end goal of driving our cost of customer acquisition all the way down to zero or as close to zero as possible. And to give you an example of the potential of our investment platform, I want to introduce you to Worthy, a company that we look as a model in the way they develop their own investor platform. And in the last 2 years, they've been able to raise $140 million, paying investors a 5% fixed interest. We hope to have our platform up this year, and by the end of next year, be able to capture $10 million on it. Our business model is always to maintain at least a 7% interest rate spread between our cost of debt capital and the rate at which we lend. And we hope that by the end of year 5, we're able to make 15,000 loans in that year, leading to an approximate projected earnings of $27 million. We have garnered key support in key areas during our last 2 years, and we hope to add Accelerate Yale to this list. Our team comes from top academic and financial institutions. I'm a proud graduate of Yale Law School, who was also General Counsel and Chief Operating Officer of financial services company. My passion for sustainable and equitable economic development stems from my own journey to becoming a first-generation Latino professional. We're concentrating very hard on our team to develop our tech, data analytics, and user experience talent. In the last 2 years, we've been able to win the Innovative Finance Global Summit startup competition in London, and this year we received grant funding from both Kellogg and Village Capital. We soon will open $1 million seed round. The goal of that round is to establish our investor platform, hire more personnel, continue to grow our portfolio, and expand our geographic footprint and our product offerings. I invite you all to join us. Here's my email. You could also go on our website and leave me your email on our investor portal. I thank you very much for our opportunity, and I wish the rest of the panelists great luck. Thank you.
Awesome, great to meet you. Maybe I'll just jump in. Andres, thanks. Couple questions. How do you guys do your credit models and validating of applicants? Can you talk us through that? And then also maybe metrics around that. What's the loss ratio look like today?
Exactly. So we're based on transactional data, on transactional and account flow data. So APIs that link to a company's bank account, so we can see their average account balances, net inflows and outflows. And now we're working with point of sale systems to look at transactional data of companies. We look a little bit of alternative data, social media footprint, the website footprint, how many visitors to a company, because that tells us something about the potential of that company. Right now, our current delinquent rate is about 5.5%. It's increased in the last couple of months because of COVID. In September, for example, it's 1.5. Now it's 5.5. We keep a very close eye on it, and our goal is always to keep it around 4 to 5%.
Thank you.
Hey, Andres. Great presentation. Are there any restrictions on investors who can be on the platform today? Who are the target profiles of the investors that you want to bring on? And are you thinking that this will be primarily for Colombia, or are you expanding throughout LATAM? And in that case, what are the regulatory challenges to be able to go country by country?
So I'll start with the geographic footprint. We're in Colombia. The second country we want to be in is United States. Those are the two countries I have the most ties to. And the third will be Mexico. And we want to operate the US and a couple of Latin American countries. Right now, we have what's called a testing the waters investor platform. So we need SEC approval, and we'll be able to target retail investors. So there won't be restrictions, but we have to meet certain guidelines with the SEC, and we're working with K&L Gates and the SEC on that work.
I could just jump in. Great presentation. How do you validate the information on the SDG that comes back, and then determine the adjustments you're making?
So we determine. I'll go to how we validate data and then the interest rate adjustments. So on the validation of data, we're proceeding in 3 ways. One, we're just trying to get user flow and use of the data so we can look at the data. And then we're going to run spot control checks on it. So we'll pick random 5 out of 100 companies to go into the statistics more deeper. And then on the third level, we're probably going to end up hiring outside validators of the data. So somebody to come in, and we'll give them our portfolio and to do that work for us. Under interest rate adjustments, so we start with a risk adjusted rate. So if a company's high risk, the rate will be a little bit higher. And then depending on that rate, will allow us to determine how much deeper of a discount we could give them, because we'll establish a floor. So we have a risk adjusted rate for the initial rate, and that determines how lower we could go with the rebate.
Hi, Andreas, how are you? Thank you for your presentation. I just have a question of what is the lifetime value of one of your customers? I know that the customer acquisition cost is $300, but what is the lifetime value of that customer?
Great question. We have the unit economics right now. It's escaping my mind right now. At our current rate, so our average loan is about 6,000. We want to achieve at scale about an average of a 35,000 loan. I do have the lifetime value. It's escaping my mind right now. But the CAC to lifetime value ratio currently is about 3 to 1. Excuse me, about 2.5 to 1, and we want to get it about 4.5 to 1. So I recall the ratio. I don't recall the exact dollar figure at this moment. I apologize for that.
Gary, it's time to come back.
All right. Yeah, no, I wasn't sleeping. Don't worry. Thank you, Andres.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Andres.
That was an amazing job. Our second finalist is Kova Dx. Please join me in welcoming Adebayo Alonge to pitch. Good luck, Adebayo. Please remember that you only have 5 minutes and that Wendy and Ellen will let you know when your time is up. Good luck.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Adebayo Alonge. I'm co-founder and CEO of RxAll. RxAll is a trusted marketplace platform for quality medicines. And we're primarily solving the problem of poor access to high quality medicines across the world. Today, globally, up to 10% of medicines that are available are substandard, and more than 1 million people die across the world due to this problem. In Africa, this problem is specifically even more acute because up to 30% of those medicines that are available in physical premises are actually falsified, and more than 100,000 people die every year across the continent. I survived a 21-day coma 15 years ago from a fake drug, and this led me down this journey of becoming a pharmacist and eventually starting out RxAll at Yale 5 years ago. The problem and the opportunity that we're addressing is really global, but for us, we're seeing Africa as the launch pad, specifically Nigeria as the launch market for us. And as of January of this year, we've already achieved over $4 million in annualized sales in just 8 cities in just one country in Africa. What our solution really is enabling transparency across the supply chain with a focus at the wholesale point of the pharmacy supply chain system. And we primarily provide our solution to wholesalers, it's known as the Rx scanner, and it enables them primarily test the quality of the medicines that they're buying before they resell it on the marketplace that we have built for them. So literally it's 2 solutions. It's a hardware kit that in 20 seconds, they're able to use, quickly test the quality and identity of a medicine. And then automatically for those medicines they have tested, they're able to use the point of sale software to list it on a marketplace. We then aggregate hospitals, pharmacies, and patients to then come on the platform and then filter by the wholesalers that are using the scanner, by the drugs that have been tested, and then they can then order for either self-pickup or delivery. So really, this is the integrated approach that we have taken to the market today. We completely differentiated in the marketplace today because we're the only ones that really combine aggregated drug testing with on-demand drug deliveries. In the market before we came, the devices that were available were really on-device testing. They did not aggregate intelligence around drug testing data across the world the way we do. For us, we can actually see every single test that's taking place across every use point, and that information is very useful in providing transparency to pharma companies as well as to the drug manufacturers. We make money through transaction fees, so really the exchange of merchandise between wholesalers and buyers on the platform, and the share of the delivery fees in fulfillment. And we also sell subscriptions as well to the intelligence that we're generating on the transaction data, as well as the supply chain quality, which we sell to the pharma companies directly. As of last year, we grew over 820% versus 2019 to a full year total amount of $1.5 million in full year sales. As of January of this year, we're currently servicing over 1,200 facilities in 8 countries, 8 cities in Nigeria, and our medicines get to over 600,000 patients every month. And month on month, we've grown over 357% since March of last year, closing out at $350,000 in GMV for January of this year. At the end of this year, we intend to grow 10 times. We have a 4,000 B2B pipeline that will generate annualized gross merchandise value of over 22 million by December of this year. And by next year, we'll begin to expand outside of Nigeria, really looking into new markets like Ghana and Kenya in Africa. For us, what we're really building is an ecosystem, one that really connects pharma companies, financial services through RxAll to the hospitals and pharmacy segments of the pharma market in Africa. And it's a full ecosystem that we're building out as a platform. We're currently doing a $3 million raise, 2 million already committed. We have capacity for about 1 million. And this funding will be used to expand into new cities across Nigeria and also into Ghana next year. For us, we're a mission-driven company, and our focus, we started the company at Yale, myself and Amy Cow at the School of Management and Wei Liu from the School of Chemistry. And our goal is really to make sure that everybody across the world has access to high quality medicines. Join us and let us make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adebayo. That was a really great presentation. I had a question about the margin on the business. Like, do you view it as like one total business because there's different services that you have, or do you view it as sort of like there's marketplace deliveries and the testing, and like how do you think about the margin on the business over time?
Yeah, so we are a marketplace platform, and primarily we take transaction take rates from the merchandise value that's being exchanged. For patients, we take it up to 26%, but on a blended basis, it's about 13% of the GMV. In my presentation, I had broken out the revenue segment. So we have a take rate on the transactions, and we have a take rate on the delivery fees. And on the transaction data, that's a full subscription that we sell directly to the pharma companies. So, but primarily most of the revenues today, net revenue basis, is a commission basis. So a take rate off of the GMV.
But in total, when you look at the margin, like the net on it, you look at it in total across everything, or do you...
Blended is 13%. That's how we, 13% of the GMV today.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Kathryn.
I just have a question. How does it work?
Yes, so primarily the RX scanner is what we refer to as a wireless spectrometer. We spend time building a library in the cloud, working with pharma companies and FDAs. And then we connect this with a mobile app by Bluetooth. So you're able to connect the device with a mobile app using Bluetooth. And then you go on the app and really scroll through the library for the specific drug that you have in front of you. Open it up. If it's a liquid, you pour it into the cuvette, fix it in. If it's a tablet, you place it on the lens, and then you carry out the scan. The Bluetooth pairs it up. The device generates the spectral fingerprint of the material, sends it to the cloud. We have a machine learning model that compares it against the data set, and then returns back a result saying this is the identity and this is how close it looks like to the original sample. So this is how the device works today. So primarily the way it's built is a quality assurance tool. In the past, you would have had to do it with a benchtop spectrophotometer. Now you can actually do it on the field with this device.
And so the reoccurring revenue comes from the subscription to the app on your phone?
No, so we don't charge subscriptions on the device. The device is installed free of charge at the wholesalers. But because of the device, they are able to grow their merchandise volumes, right? Customers know those wholesalers that are using it, and they grow actually 10 times. When we compare the wholesalers on the platform versus those who don't use the scanner, we've seen the average order volumes that they receive is actually 10 times before they actually came on the platform. So we then take a take rate. So it's a free service with a scanner, but for the merchandise that's actually exchanged between the sellers and the buyers, we take a take rate. And as I said before, it's a blended rate, up to 13% of the total exchange happening between the sellers and the buyers on the platform. So this is how the business model is built out today.
Okay.
What's the BOM on the device, and what's the average payback on the device if you're giving it away for free?
Yes, so for most of the wholesalers, they're able to pay back on the GMV within 8 months. The BOM is about $600. We're able to get it back when we're covering all the other costs of the business, and then what is left when we're using that to cover the cost of the scanner itself. Payback is about 8 months.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Adebayo. Another great example of a mission-driven tech company aiming to do good while also doing well. Great job. Next up, we're going to have RxAll. Please join me in welcoming Song Kim to pitch. Good luck, Song.
So let me pull up my presentation. Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Song Kim, and I'm one of the co-founders of KovaDX, and we're on a mission to transform the diagnosis and treatment of sickle cell disease through AI. And our story begins with my co-founder Yao and his clinical practice in Ghana. And he treated, all kinds of patients, including young children who came to him screaming and writhing in pain, and they were jaundiced. And he suspected that they had sickle cell disease, but he had no way of knowing for sure because the diagnostics were just too expensive for families to afford. And so he did the best that he could to alleviate their pain in the moment. And he sent them off not knowing whether the children would live or die, because if it was sickle cell, the likelihood was that they wouldn't make it past the age of 5. So sickle cell disease is a genetic disorder that causes the red blood cells to take the shape of a sickle and to stick together during sickling crises. And these crises, they cause prolonged excruciating pain, they cause joint and organ damage, and they cause things like stroke and heart attack and even death. And every single year, 170,000 children die before the age of 5 simply because of the lack of diagnostics. And sickle cell disease affects 30 million people all around the world. And even in places like the United States, with some of the best healthcare systems in the world, someone living with sickle cell has a 33-year shorter life expectancy than the average American. And they spend about 2 weeks in the hospital every year and spend about $1 million in lifetime healthcare costs because of the lack of preventative care that prevents sickling crises. And so they end up going to the hospital multiple times a year. And there are severe complications, such as the need for a double hip replacement before the age of 20. And even with some of the very, very few drugs that are on the market to even care for this disease, they can cause really severe reactions, such as blisters that are so terrible that you need a skin graft. And so the 3 of us got together and we saw an enormous opportunity to bring our expertise together to help alleviate some of this pain and suffering. So Yao, with his background in medicine and bioengineering, myself with experience in management and human rights law, and Tim with his expertise in computer science. And we created a solution that is an affordable and accurate AI-based diagnostic and monitoring tool. And what we want to do is to completely transform the way sickle cell diagnostics is done. We want to bring the testing time down from 2 days to less than a minute, from a prohibitive cost of $63 per test to less than $2 per test. And importantly, be the only solution that can help to monitor the health of red blood cells over time to prevent sickling crises. And here's how it works. Just take a small sample of blood, put it into our proprietary cartridges. The cartridge is popped into our device, which then images the red blood cells and produces these beautiful 3D phase images. Those images are run through our proprietary machine learning algorithms, and that provides a diagnostic classification as well as really important information about the physiology of the red blood cells. And that'll give an indication of the health. And that information will be both displayed on the device as well as sent to our secure server, where it'll join the millions and eventually billions of data points with every single test that is done all around the world to continue to improve our algorithms. So far we have built our prototype and we've trained our AI models with really promising preliminary data on both malaria and sickle cell diagnostics. And we'll be partnering with the University of Cape Coast in Ghana and the University of Connecticut here in Connecticut to continue to collect clinical data. And with that, we'll be improving our deep learning models. And with that, we will raise our seed round to bring our prototype to product. We'll be initially launching at Sub-Saharan Africa, specifically in Ghana first, because of our deep relationships with the government and hospitals and clinics there. And we'll be giving away our devices for free in exchange for a minimum use contract. And we'll be selling our cartridges on a subscription basis. And based on this model, we project that we'll be able to break even in 3 to 4 months for every single device. And the red blood cell disease testing market is projected to grow to $13.7 billion by 2026. And giving what we think is a really exciting potential for KovaDX to be a platform across red blood cell diseases, we believe we can tap into a significant portion of this. We're on a mission to completely transform the way diagnosis and treatment of sickle cell is done all around the world. And we ask for your advice and your guidance so that we can propel our vision forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Song. I have sickle cell anemia, so this makes a lot of sense to me.
Not only that you have sickle cell, but that you know probably more about this than I do.
Oh yeah, I remember being a teenager and having gone through all the tests to make the diagnosis. I know your distribution strategy is going to Africa first. Are there any specific FDA approval process that you would have to go through in the US?
So in sub-Saharan Africa, the reason that we're going to sub-Saharan Africa first is because the process will be much quicker, and we have folks on the ground right now already kind of working to make sure that we have the pipeline in place so that once we conduct our clinical trials in the universities there, we will be able to go through the process in about 3 to 6 months. In the United States, we would absolutely need to go through the process, and we want to save kind of coming to the US until after we have a bit more data coming from the product that we launch in sub-Saharan Africa first.
Song, I'll jump in. Thanks so much. Really amazing product. Can you explain the relationship of the payer and potentially the provider and the healthcare provider and potentially the government? Who is the one paying in most of the instances, and what's the opportunity to really scale broadly to service as many people as you possibly can?
A great question. Thank you. So every country looks different, and specifically speaking to Ghana, just because that's where we'll be going first, more than half of the hospitals and clinics in Ghana are owned by the government. And so we expect that we will be, our relationship with the government will really determine just how quickly we can scale in the country. We think that because we will be, giving the devices away for free, that the ability for the government to pay for the single-use cartridges on a subscription basis will not be too taxing, and it will be kind of a sustainable model. There are other countries that we are in talks with, more private actors who own hospitals, who will be paying for devices and the cartridges themselves. And so every country really just looks different depending on our relationships with the players and how the marketplace looks.
Thank you.
Hi, Song. Hi. I have a question. How much does the device cost?
So the device costs to make or to purchase?
How much does it cost to make? How much does it cost to purchase? And I'll add another question. How much are the cartridges?
Yeah, really, really excellent questions. And we've actually not been public about how much it costs to make, just because there are kind of competitors that are coming onto the market, and we want to keep our costs sort of for our own kind of competitive reasons. But I will say, our IP, the reason that we specifically chose the microscopes that we're working with to go into our device is because they are really, kind of high quality, high tech microscopes that can be produced at a relatively low cost. And so low cost enough that even if we give the devices away for free, we'll be able to break even within 3 to 4 months just on the sale of the cartridges. Now the cartridges, the way that we've been thinking about it is kind of looking at the ability to pay and then kind of working backwards from there. And we believe that based on the ability to pay for each test in sub-Saharan Africa, in Ghana specifically, that we'll be able to make about a 60% margin on the cartridges.
Is there a minimum necessary data set for the AI to train on that makes this more effective than other products, or just in general more effective?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think I don't know the number of, blood cell tests that we would need, that type of thing, but just with even the preliminary data that we have, we were able to show accuracy of above 98% for malaria diagnostics, which is like much better. Currently, the standard in different parts of the world is between 60 to 70% accuracy for malaria diagnostics. So even based on our very, very preliminary data, we were able to bring it up to 98%. The beauty of the kind of microscopes that we're using, the quantitative phase imaging microscopes, is that they don't take one picture for every, every sample. It has the ability to take about 40 images per second as the blood is flowing through our microfluidic cartridges. And so you can imagine with just one drop of blood, how many images we'll be able to kind of generate and to train our models with.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Song. As Aike highlighted, this is really a much needed product. So thanks, great job. Next, our penultimate pitch will come from Thermaband and will be delivered by Markea Dickinson. Welcome, Markea, and good luck.
Thank you. All right, 1 second. All right, we should be good. Hi, everyone. Have it up there? Okay, good. We are Debbie and Markea Dickinson, the founders of Thermaband. How many of you frequently feel warmer or cooler in a room than you'd like? Well, the reality is that half the people on the planet experience a personal inferno and that rages within in the form of a hot flash, either due to menopause or a medical condition. We are empowering women to control their thermal health and wellness naturally. Studies show that menopausal symptoms negatively impacts productivity, quality of life, and economic outcomes. And 1.1 billion women will be in menopause by the year 2025. A recent Yale study actually found that only 25% of women, just a quarter of women who seek medical assistance for menopause, actually receive it. As a perimenopausal woman experiencing hot flashes, I learned firsthand that the present solutions are often ineffective, dated, or undesirable. And I was not alone. Many women share my frustration. The solutions range from fans, including ones that are handheld or a frozen object, to hormonal replacement therapy, which is not a permanent solution and has been linked to cancer. And 93% of women seek a non-invasive tech solution. So our product is a Thermaband Zone, and it's a smart personal thermostat that has automated heating and cooling activation. And it represents an equitable solution for women who often feel at a disadvantage when experiencing menopausal symptoms. The Zone provides thermal relief on demand by leveraging the science of thermoregulation. It safely and naturally triggers a mind-body response so users feel more comfortable. The device utilizes digital health data to identify thermal fluctuations and activate automatically. We have a comprehensive IP strategy, which includes several patents pending to protect the functionality and design of the device, in addition to several registered trademarks. Now let's look at the femtech market, and I'll turn it over to my co-founder and daughter, Markea. Awesome. So the reality is the vast majority of femtech startups, as you can see here, target females aged 11 to 40, and they're ignoring the $600 billion elephant in the room, which is the menopausal market and really the core of our business. Our community-based go-to-market D2C go-to-market strategy is initially focused, as we mentioned, on the menopausal market, but the reality is there's several market adjacencies with significant opportunities to expand and a total addressable market of over 4.5 trillion. Thermal distress is prevalent and not limited to just menopause. We've been surprised by the breadth of use cases. The more folks we talk to, the more exciting it becomes, including medical conditions, treatments, and even thermostat wars in homes and offices. So our product was designed with the consumer in mind and offers unique features such as automatic activation and digital health data. Our sustainable competitive advantage is really our ability to truly empathize with users. So the device is priced at $199 with a monthly subscription option to receive personalized digital health insights through the embedded sensors on the device that are accessible through the mobile platform. So a bit more about who we are. Our founder, Debbie, who was mentioned as my mother, is a benefits attorney and former lecturer at Wharton.
As the co-founder, my expertise is in consumer goods and operations, and Stephen is our engineer lead and a really experienced engineer in both hardware and software. We also have a phenomenal advisory panel of physicians and scientists with deep industry experience. So speed to market and traction have propelled us thus far. We've co-created a functional prototype with our community of over 800 women and have over 1,200 early access signups, and are currently testing and refining our hardware and software to ensure it meets our users' needs. So we envision a Thermaband, we envision a Thermaband product suite that is the standard of care globally for consumers who are uncomfortably hot or cold. We have the team, traction, and tenacity to make this a reality. And we are currently raising our seed round of 1.6 million for 12 months of runway. So join the movement. We're currently raising our seed round, as I mentioned, and are definitely open to including additional strategic partners. I would love to chat. Head to our website to sign up for early access, product testing, and of course, to join our Facebook group, our Facebook sisterhood. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. This is definitely an area of interest. Curious to hear if you've done any testing in terms of what CAC would look like for your product.
You said in terms of CAC would look like? What was that?
Yeah, have you done any testing to see what the customer acquisition cost would be?
Oh yes, we have. Yes, we tested through our Facebook. We tested in a number of ways. One is the traction, getting folks from Facebook that are in this specific demographic to our website to sign up for early access. And we also tested through just leveraging our Facebook group internally to see folks to understand some conversion rates. And we were able to, we're still kind of finalizing exactly what the cap looks like, but we have been able to kind of test that.
Do you think there's a path for getting support from insurance or regarding payment and coverage of the product?
Yes, absolutely. We're really looking at having it be a qualified expense. So if you think of like a cafeteria plan, so you know this is a direct-to-consumer product, so it's not medical equipment per se, but there are opportunities to have it be a covered expense under like the cafeteria plan, the Section 125 plan. Mm-hmm.
What's the BOM on the device?
The in terms of unit economics, the unit economics are about 77%. Our cost to manufacture the device, including shipping, packaging, everything else, is around $45.
That's great. As a D2C product and building a community, how do you think about leveraging organic channels to get out there and get in front of people? Using unpaid marketing or earned media?
Absolutely. So that's actually our this slide kind of captures that in a nutshell. So that's really been the approach that we've had, is leveraging a grassroots community-based just strategy throughout in terms of leveraging women to co-create the device with us. We've also connected with clinicians. We've connected with various affinity groups, such as the ones listed here. And it's been really exciting because we've been able to leverage other, as I mentioned that, 5% of femtech startups are in this space. And we've been able to connect with the very few women founders that are in this space that are targeting the same market and have built strategic partnerships and alliances with them. So definitely view it as an opportunity to do that, as well as, of course, the community-based outreach. My mom is a part of several different Facebook groups. We have access to over 165,000 women through those channels. So we really view that as probably the largest opportunity from a go-to-market strategy and launch strategy, and are looking at now other ways to have more paid advertising.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Markea. How are you?
Hi, good.
I just have a question. I noticed that, excuse me, your device is priced about $100 less than one of your competitors, and wanted to know why. Because it seems like you're offering a lot more functionality than that device.
Yeah, so that really comes down to access, and the mission of actually it comes down to two things. One was really asking our users and asking the folks that are in our Facebook through a willingness to pay survey, how much are you spending typically for this type of item? The competitor's item or the competitor's product is not necessarily targeted specifically towards this audience. We wanted to make sure that we were able to understand what their willingness to pay was. And there's research that shows that women are typically spending about $248 for this product now, or for this type of relief now for this need. So it was kind of a matter of that from a quantitative standpoint. And then just qualitatively in terms of just our mission and our brand ethos, we want to make sure that it's accessible to women that likely don't have access and can't afford a $300 product to help with this type of relief. And we're excited about opportunities to be able to subsidize the product in different ways to make it even more accessible,
including the subscription possibility. So we have you purchase the device and there's a subscription model, so we'll be able to use that as well. So,
quick question from the chat, which is a good one. Is it applicable to men also who just get hot like I do myself?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely it is. We really want to be laser focused because this product can be used for anyone that has ever felt uncomfortably warm and cold. But the reality is that in order to really just differentiate ourselves, and there's tons of reasons that are obvious in terms of why we want to focus on that. But we do have men testing our product, including my dad, including several folks in our network that are spouses of the women that we are, testing as well, and just at large.
And the women who are involved and super excited about this product also, we tend to think not just of ourselves, but we're thinking about our spouses, our significant others, or siblings or parents and whatever. So we, even though we're targeting our go-to-market strategy is the underserved market with menopausal women. Those women, as do we, have an eye to expand beyond. So the product is really unisex, and it's designed such that it can be worn by whomever is experiencing thermal distress.
Awesome.
It's okay if you guys are focusing on women.
It's okay. No, trust me.
You don't feel like you have to. You have a very good, solid market there. So don't feel that you have to jump to include others in right now. And I think as an operator myself, a former operator, it's always best to focus on your core market and really own that, and then figure out how to bring in other markets. So don't feel like you have to change or expand at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure it's inclusive, but at the same time, focus.
And the beauty is,
awesome.
I think we're getting.
Yeah, I think that we're at time, but thank you guys so much, Markea and Debbie. As your pitch highlights, this is definitely an underserved but important market. And I definitely love the mother-daughter founder combo, and also the fact that you've gotten dad involved as well. So great job. Last but definitely not least, we have Javaughn Lawrence of Drip to close this pitching session. Welcome, Javaughn, and good luck.
Hold on a second. We're making sure that he is in. He was watching as an audience member, so let's just give him a moment to come over. Ellen, can you see him? Oh, you're here. Okay, great.
He's in the audience, so he needs to be pulled into the panelists in order to present.
Hold on, I'm having a technical difficulty here, you guys. Just be patient.
No worries.
Okay.
Jen, do you have a good joke until then?
I only have corny knock-knock jokes from my son.
Wait.
Yeah, from the attendees window, I think you should be able to promote him to a panelist.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give you a good Reddit question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Think about that.
Promote to panelist. I think I did it.
On that note, I think Javaughn joined.
There he is. Javaughn, are you here?
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, we're all set. Thanks, everybody.
Fantastic. Great. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Fantastic. Great. So I'll get started in a bit. Let me just share my screen. Everyone, so my name is Javaughn. I'm the CEO of Drip, and Drip provides delightful live shopping experiences. A bit more on myself. I'm, graduated Yale in Saybrook 2014. Then I went over to Bain, where I spent most of my time in retail. I then went over to LinkedIn and was most recently an investor at a firm called ENIAC Ventures. My co-founder, Samip, who I met in OnDeck, has over 10 years of engineering experience. He spent time leading engineering teams at Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, and was an early engineer at Handy. And most recently was at Boston University as well. We also have an offshore engineering team, and then a great lady who's helping us on this go-to-market side. So consumers increasingly rely on trusted sources to help them discover and purchase new products. In fact, in the US, about 68% of consumers watch YouTube videos to help them make purchasing decisions. And as a result, live shopping is starting to really start taking off in the US. Last year, live shopping platforms like QVC, HSN did about $15 billion in revenue. However, the US market is still quite nascent. If you compare us to China, live shopping last year did about $170 billion, accounting for about 17% of the e-commerce market in China. So we think there's a huge opportunity here still to build here. So in particular, what we've noticed is that SMBs, so this could be brick and mortar businesses, or it could be small e-commerce brands and independent sellers, don't have access to the technology and the tools that they need to host delightful live shopping experiences. So introducing Drip. Drip allows brands and influencers to delight and entertain their audiences while selling through live stream. Our product allows consumers to browse streams, chat and interact with the host and other audience members, and ultimately to shop on stream. And the value of being able to shop on stream is that it converts at a much higher rate than e-commerce. So typical e-commerce site converts at about 5%. With live shopping, it's over 25%. So now I'm going to show you a quick video of one of our most recent streams to illustrate how our product works.
Was the full price,
So audience members can text and ask questions during the stream.
Because I was working with them at the time, but yeah, I'm telling you guys, for day and night, I hardly use this, literally just for a picture, because I was like, I don't want to ruin this, and
audience members can also purchase products during the stream, as I mentioned before.
Disco style.
Right, and it can go through the full checkout flow. They can also browse products, etc.
This entire piece was the full price, but
sorry, give me 1 second. So we're ultimately building a three-sided marketplace. We're tendering to brands that are looking to sell products, streamers that have audiences and that can entertain their audience, and ultimately shoppers that want to purchase that product. Our business model is going to be focused on in two different areas. First, we're going to do a revenue share with the business that we work with. So it's about 10 to 15% of each transaction. And then we're going to charge a subscription fee to have them access our software, reserve spot slots in our streaming, and also for additional marketing support to engage their audiences. So our go-to-market right now is primarily focused on brick and mortar businesses and independent sellers. So think, someone who owns their own Etsy store and they may be selling crafts or different ethnic fashion products. And we're primarily going to be focusing on those folks through direct sales and partnerships. Right now, we've been spending a lot of time on the brick and mortar angle, just because a lot of these stores don't have access to the foot traffic that they're used to. And we've been seeing a lot of really, really awesome uptick there. In fact, we launched our product less than 4 weeks ago. In fact, before this, I was actually running a live shopping event, which is why I'm a little late. And so far, we've generated about $4,000 in GMV from live shopping experiences, and have been growing at about 30% week on week. And what's been really, really fascinating for us is that we've been able to gain a lot of organic traction and viewership. In fact, our last stream just did 150 views. And the way we're doing right now is actually we're taking a very community-focused approach, where we're actually embedding ourselves in Facebook group communities and having those folks in those communities engage with the streams. And that's been a really, really great acquisition channel for us so far. Our vision long-term is to build a $10 billion gross revenue live shopping brand targeting millennials and Gen Z globally. I'm Javaughn, and that's Drip. Any questions?
Hey, Javaughn.
Yep. Hey, Tiffany, long time no see.
Good to see you. Saybrook.
Now. Yeah, go Saybrook.
I mean, this is definitely the future. My question is what you think is your differentiation? And in the last, call it 6 weeks alone, I've probably met with 6 different companies trying to do live streaming e-commerce, and they're all doing the same functionalities. Where do you think is your competitive edge?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I think our competitive edge is going to really be based on our go-to-market and then a bit on our kind of our functionalities. But I would say the go-to-market is first, right? And so, as I mentioned earlier, one of our focuses is actually supporting brick and mortar businesses, because there's like a really great momentum right now around shopping local and supporting local businesses, right? And so we first started out by actually targeting communities in their neighborhood in Coal Valley, San Francisco, and have gotten a lot of support within the community from that. And from there, we're going to actually leverage that to build partnerships with local kind of merchant associations. So for example, we're pitching to the board of the Sunset Mercantile Association, which oversees about 200 businesses. And then that's going to allow us to branch into broader San Francisco, which oversees obviously thousands of businesses. So we think that like taking a very community-driven approach and a very local commerce approach combined with partnering with these local merchant associations is going to give us a really, really good advantage, right? So that's one approach that we're taking on the brick and mortar side from the go-to-market perspective. The other bit is really focusing on these more niche categories, right? So focusing on, ethnic crafts and kind of like these maker communities, we think we can also really differentiate there. In terms of kind of tacking into the audience, again, one hack that we've noticed is just being able to simulcast across different communities allows us to kind of drive really, really great user acquisition at a really, really low cost. And then lastly, on the product and how we're going to differentiate there is really we just need to be able to move fast and kind of create a lot of experiments. So, we're experimenting with a lot of different types of promotions, a lot of different group offers. And for our approach there is that like, no one really knows the answer on what's going to work in the US market. It's really about speed. And so we're focused on running as many experiments as we possibly can until we figure out the right kind of ticks that work.
So from a positioning perspective, would you say that, shops is the more corporate or larger brands, and you guys are taking, to your point, an Etsy perspective on this?
Yeah, we're targeting a lot of Etsy, a lot of independent businesses and sellers. Yeah.
And what's to stop Etsy from building this themselves?
That's a good question. They're very, one thing we say is that they're very kind of mature company. They've been around for about a decade and a half, and they haven't really been innovating a lot in that ecosystem. And so, they may be able to build it eventually, but, from the uptick the interest we're seeing from Etsy sellers right now, it seems like there's strong enough interest for us to kind of galvanize support amongst that community. But to be determined whether or not they build it themselves.
Hi, Javaughn, how are you? I just have a question sort of along those same line. Is there any thought about how to really work with these other platforms? Because I know one of the challenges in the influencer community is yet another platform that people would have to worry about. So is there any idea of how you would work with an Etsy, or how you would work with Instagram is a little bit harder, maybe a TikTok, like how you can integrate into these existing platforms?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So that's something that we've experimented with, and we're still figuring out like how to really tap into that. Our viewpoint right now on the best way to work with platforms is really just to find, kind of streamers who would be interested in coming onto our platform. That's been the best thing we've seen so far. So for example, we have a lady who has a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram. She was a former, oops, something just happened. Oh, I think just stopped my sharing. Yeah. Basically, we're partnering, we're just using those platforms to find streamers for us. But where we see that maybe opportunity is for like medium-sized e-commerce brands. So Grailed, for example, which is another Yale-founded company, being able to be a technology provider for them, in addition to kind of like streaming on our platform as well. But we kind of view a lot of those existing platforms really more as competitors right now. And we're trying to figure out how to leverage your platforms to help our growth.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Javaughn. Great job. And thank you to all 5 of our Yale Angel finalists. Weren't they amazing? If we were all in the same room, I'm sure you guys would right now be giving them a really loud round of applause, but we're not in the same room, and I'm sure you're doing it at home anyway, so that's awesome. And it definitely goes to confirm once again that there is no lack of talent among Black, Brown, and female communities and Asian communities. It's just a lack of willingness to look a little bit deeper, particularly when you have so many awesome Yalees in the house. Now the judges are going to confer and they're going to choose a winner. They'll be back in about 10 minutes. But while they deliberate, I'd like to welcome back my fellow Yale Angels team members to come up and explain a bit more about how we got here and also some of our upcoming events. So first up, I'd like to bring back to the main stage, if that's what it's called, Wendy.
Hey, everybody. So thank you. Those pitches were so amazing. Thank you to all of our competitors. I'm going to just start sharing my screen here in a minute, but one of the things I wanted to say was that when we first announced this competition, we really didn't know what to expect. We really wanted to do it, and we weren't sure if people would even be interested, but we forged ahead and we announced it, and we were absolutely overwhelmed by the number of submissions we received. We received over 90 applications and nearly 70 submissions of decks. And when we were faced with that pretty daunting number, we decided that we needed to turn to the Yale alumni community for help in sorting through to get to the final 5. And so we reached out to some very generous Yalees who agreed to volunteer their time. And I wanted to just share my screen and show you exactly who these 6 amazing volunteers were. Yale experienced investors who helped us go through all of the decks. And what they essentially did was they provided not only their expertise as investors, but they also helped us to minimize the bias that is so present in any work that any entrepreneur is trying to do to forge ahead and get equal fair consideration for their venture. So let me see what I could do to share here, and I will share my deck to feature all of our amazing volunteers. Here we go. All right, come on. Here we go. Okay, so the first volunteer was Kojo Adovor. He is SOM class of 18, and he is the founder and CEO of Kova Capital, which is based in Accra, Ghana. You can also catch one of our webinars with Kojo from last year if you go to our YouTube channel. Next, come on. Why is it's not working? Okay. Oh, here we go. Next, Fredwa Akosa, MPH class of 2017. He is the founder and CEO of Other Tech, a platform that promotes diversity and inclusion in tech and venture capital. He is also a physician by training. Thank you, Fredwa. Donna Leckie, JD MBA. She is SOM class of 2016. She is the managing partner of Health Venture Capital, CFO and co-founder of Health Venture, and co-founder and board chair of Health Haven Hub, Incorporated in New Haven. Chris Hill, Yale College class of 1999. He is a VC at Comcast Ventures. Rebecca Lou Doyle, Yale College class of 2014, principal at Insight Ventures. And finally, Charlotte Ross, also Yale College class of 2014, principal at Inspired Capital. And now I would like to turn it over to my colleague and teammate, Sam Hendel, to share a little bit more information with you.
Thank you, Wendy. And thank you everyone for joining us today for this important event highlighting underrepresented founders in the Yale community. I want to take a step back for a moment and use this time to talk about the history of Accelerate Yale and Yale Angels and give you some context about our vision for the future of our community. We started Accelerate Yale as a nonprofit back in 2016 with a very clear mission: to improve the ecosystem for Yale entrepreneurship, create opportunities for meaningful connectivity within the Yale alumni community, and also to bridge the gap between alumni and current Yale students. We started out doing networking events in New York and New Haven, Sometimes just happy hours at bars, other times in a more formal context with Yale founders talking about their companies and industries, and also with some educational programming focused on teaching alums about the important steps to take their ideas and turn them into companies. We always cast a very wide net of what it means to be an entrepreneur, not just focused on tech companies, but on any type of scaled business, whether that be food startups, companies participating in the green economy, innovative nonprofits, and the revolution taking place in healthcare and biotech. Diversity and inclusion have always been an extremely important part of our ethos, and we will continue to drive forward and improve equity and opportunity for underserved communities. At all stages of our journey, we've had incredible support from the university, and we've developed meaningful partnerships with the Yale Alumni Association, the Yale Office of Development, SOM, the Law School, Sci-City, and student groups like the Yale Entrepreneurial Society. And with that support, we were able to launch Yale Angels at the end of 2019 as a sister nonprofit to Accelerate Yale, with a mission of highlighting Yale student and young alumni companies to a broader Yale alumni audience and creating connectivity and opportunities for these companies to explore receiving funding for their ideas within the Yale network. We're in the early stages, we're in the early stages of growth of Yale Angels, but we're so excited to be hosting this event tonight, and stay tuned for much more in the future. Moving to where we are today, after a few years of doing successful in-person events, we knew we needed to engage people in a different way when COVID hit, and I'm very pleased to say that our mission for connectivity has actually seen a huge boost during the pandemic. We did our first webinar in late March with an email list of 900 alums, and after more than 20 webinars featuring great Yale entrepreneurs and VCs, our email list is up to over 5,000 alums, and we brought together thousands of Yaleys to support each other through 2020, and we're geared up for continued growth in 2021 and beyond. We've been so encouraged to see the tremendous demand for connectivity within the Yale alumni community and the desire to engage with students on the great things that are happening on Yale's campus. Everybody listening today is an important part of this community, and I encourage you to please reach out to us if you're interested in volunteering on our team, if you have the means to provide individual or corporate sponsorship to drive our ability to further the mission, and also please feel free to just reach out with any ideas on how to strengthen the Yale entrepreneurial ecosystem. Before we move on, I have the pleasure to announce some important upcoming events in honor of Women's History Month. We're co-sponsoring an event on February 25th with the Yale Club of DC, The Unconventional Tech Entrepreneur, a conversation with Cheryl Conti, class of '93. On March 10th, we're hosting Laura Melendres of Amor and Rosas, an ethical fashion company based in Mexico. We're co-sponsoring an event with Yale Women on March 18th called Yale Women in the Startup World, Bring Your Toughest Challenge for Advice from Seasoned Startup Founders, VCs, and Entrepreneurs. And finally, on March 24th, we're hosting a conversation with Steph Spears of Solstice, a community solar company. Thank you so much for being here today. And with that, I'll turn it over to my fellow Accelerate Yale and Yale Angels co-founders, Chris Brady and Adam Brenner.
Thanks for introducing us, Sam. We're going to run through quickly the 5 semifinalists because we had such a strong group of applicants. Adam, you want to start off with Diverseaboard?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I have to say we were absolutely overwhelmed by the response that we received. And this is just some of the companies that we were able to highlight. But I think, it was really just an amazing outpouring of applications. So Diverseaboard is a system for improving the job search and hiring process by quantifying a candidate's aptitude through a combination of psychometric and skills testing, and then using these data tests, mapping a candidate's fit to both a hiring organization, staff, and industry benchmarks, and presenting relevant candidates to hiring organizations for inclusion in their candidate pools. Eleanor Brown presented a great deck, and we were really excited to hear from her.
Right. Octify is buy now, pay later for social commerce. It's a YC-funded fintech startup enabling businesses to make instant lending decisions to customers at the point of sale. They provide consumers with an easy-to-use mobile app so they can pay in installments with 0% interest, while helping merchants tap into a new customer base who prefers more accessible and friendly alternative to credit cards.
ReRent monetizes underutilized space by making home sharing on Airbnb hassle-free for off-campus college students. It's a really interesting company that we were able to speak to the founder. What it does is it addresses the problem where students waste 40% of their annual rent while away on break due to hospitality operations and marketing related hassles. Students are hesitant to list their homes on any platform. ReRent helps solve that problem.
Typogram is a quality brand design, is a custom brand builder for small businesses and entrepreneurs. I've had the pleasure of mentoring Hua and Wendy through their journey. I've seen them really mature as entrepreneurs and as a company themselves. Quality brand design is hard and expensive and potentially confusing. Typogram makes it easy to design your own branded company.
Great. And finally, Upright Oats. Upright is an early stage CPG company with a mission to create delicious food that's better for people and our planet. Their first product is a better for you oat milk, which will be available in 3 flavors, in shelf-stable single-serving portions, in conventional liquid and instant powder forms. We really enjoyed our conversation with Betty, and it was all just a great group of applicants. So thank you all so much.
All right, back to you guys.
Okay, is Ellen back yet with the judges, or did we go through this really fast?
We can spend so just for everyone on the line. One of the biggest things though is we love featuring Yale companies or people who are involved in the entrepreneurial community. So please do reach out to us. We're always looking for exciting companies to feature or stories to tell here.
Fantastic. So Chris, I'm gonna stop sharing on your, yep, there we go. Okay. So it looks like we're not quite, the judges are not back yet. I think they're having a really tough time trying to choose a winner. Who can blame them, right? So let's see here. What else can we share with our audience this evening? Oh, I know what it is. We are, as we wait for the judges to come back, I did want to just share a little bit about the prize that will be offered. So for our 5 finalists, we do have prizes of free services from Yale alumni experts that will be offered to the 5 finalists. The winner will, of course, receive $5,000 as the grand prize, but all 5 teams will receive the following. First, they are all able to receive expert advice on SEO from Michael Lewitz, who is the founder of Gossip Cop. That company was successfully acquired, and I actually spoke to Michael a week or so ago. I don't know if you're out there, Michael, in the audience, but really, really illuminating and helpful. He is the man you want to talk to if you want to tune up your SEO. Secondly, Laura Brennan is a professional pitch consultant, and she is offering a 1-hour pitch coaching session with each of the 5 finalists to help them tune up their pitches, because you're going to be doing it over and over and over again as you're fundraising. So it's got to be tight. And then finally, our Accelerate Yale and Yale Angels team member, Adam Brenner, is offering a session on legal tips for an initial equity raise to our 5 finalists, and he is at DLA Piper, and this is literally what he does. So we're just really thankful and grateful to our Yale alumni who are generously offering these services for absolutely free, which is amazing. Oh yes, the name of the SEO expert, I'm going to type it into the chat, is Michael Lewitz. Don't remember what year yes, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. Michael Lewitz. So he is the founder of Gossip Cop. let's see here. I'm sort of running out of things to talk about while we're waiting for our judges. Adam, you're good at riffing.
So again, thank you all for this. Again, we would love any volunteers to come forward and help us out. You know, this has been a number of years in the works, this whole organization, and please let us know if you have any questions for the panelists or the team afterwards, because we're really excited about that group.
Sure, and I have, so a few questions are coming in from the audience, and all of you who are in the audience are welcome to type into the chat if you have some questions we can answer while we wait for the judges to return. First of all, this session is being recorded, and we will share it with everybody who registered, and we will also post it on our YouTube channel where you can check out all of our past replays. So make sure that you are subscribing to that YouTube channel, and we always post those replay links on our LinkedIn and Facebook pages. So I'm not going to share the slides with our volunteer judges just yet, since it looks like our judges are back with a decision. And I'm going to transition to Ellen in just a moment. But Ellen, just so that you know, I did communicate the free services from Yale alumni to our audience, so you won't have to cover that. You have the pleasure of being able to announce the prize winner and to close out this evening for our audience. So with that, I'm going to go off camera. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. And thank you everyone again for joining us. The judges, you know, we went a little over time because we did have some pretty lively discussion around who should be the winner. So it was a tough call. We had a couple of back and forth. So I do have the pleasure, the absolute pleasure of announcing the winner of the first inaugural Yale Pitchoff competition, and the winner of tonight's $5,000 prize goes to RxAll. So congratulations. We want to thank everybody who joined in, and everybody, oh, and I see also all of the judges, if you could change your name over, because I think you all joined with my link. But thank you to everybody who's joined. And also congratulations to everybody who applied. It was an incredible experience to read through so many great submissions. We had a really tough time sorting through all of those. And, you know, it's really doubled down on the fact that the Yale community is fantastic. And, you know, there's a lot of people with amazing ideas, and there's a lot of people doing fantastic work out there. So thank you so much. We'd also love to thank our co-sponsors once again. And I see a question in the chat, so RxAll one. In closing, we would like to thank the Yale Office of Development, DLA Piper, the Yale Black Alumni Association, the Yale Latino Alumni Network, the Association of Asian American Alumni at Yale, Yale Gala, Yale Women, First Gen Yale, and all of the YAA shared interest groups for making this event possible. The recording for this evening's webinar will be posted on the Accelerate Yale LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube channels. So if you missed it, if you have friends who want to watch, if you want to relive some of the glory moments, feel free to join us there and give us a follow on those channels. Special thanks to all of our judges and all of our teams this evening, along with everyone who tuned in tonight. Have a great rest of the evening. We are pleased to have you all here, and you know, we're just so impressed with the community and everybody who's participated in this whole process.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job. Thanks, everybody.